Hi, welcome to Remove Logic Radio. Welcome again for another Thursday night of Remove Logic Radio show. I'm your host, Karen Ray Lacey. I'm so glad that you decided to join me again this Thursday night. We are here every Thursday at 7 p.m., streaming live on Fishbowl Radio Network, as well as you can catch us on our Facebook page as well as my YouTube channel, Remove Logic. I'm so glad that you decided to join me again tonight. For those of you who are just stopping by for the first time, I'm your host, Karen, and I'm here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. And my show is called Remove Logic. Why remove logic? Because we believe that God is not bound by logic or logistics. And I am here to challenge your thinking to help people that are stuck get unstuck. What do you do when God's answers are outside of your framework of knowledge? Do you sit still? Do you pray again? Do you move? Or do you stay stuck? If you're that person and you find yourself stuck, and it's time for a pivot in your life, or something has caused you to start to rethink why you think like you do, then you've made it to the right place. Remove Logic will help you to explore your why and give you solutions that will probably disrupt traditional thinking patterns. And maybe you're seeking strategies to encourage innovation, encourage you to change your assumptions, your underlying current beliefs, or even your practices. Whatever the case may be, you've made it to the right place. Welcome again to Remove Logic Radio Show. And to my Remove Logic community, thank you so much for being faithful, showing up and supporting me every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Whether you're here and you catch the live or you go back and watch the episode later on. I just appreciate the support. I really honestly do. I started this journey as an assignment. I didn't know where it was going to take me because, of course, I was afraid, but I did it afraid. And I'm so glad that I did because I have met some wonderful people along the way. I've heard the most inspiring stories, and just stepping outside of your comfort zone, stories of people who had to overcome challenges just to become what God said that they are. So if you're that person that needs to be inspired, I'm so glad that you tuned in tonight. And if you know someone that maybe is feeling stuck or maybe in a place of pivot, whether it is caused by their own something that they did or something that was done to them, like the government shut down, and you're looking for like, what is my next? Share this broadcast with someone else tonight and pass it on along or tag someone that you know may be in that situation. And that being said, I want to tonight, as I have said since the government shut down, that I want us to remember those that are impacted by the government shutdown. As we know that it appears to be, I'm just going to say that, it appears to be no end in sight. Now, we don't know that. We don't know the plans that God has, but we know that God is truly able. And I want to encourage you while you're waiting, I say, on the Lord, and wait with faith and not with worry. We have just got to believe that God knows what's going on. He knew the shutdown was coming before we did. It did not catch him off guard. And I know that he has a plan and he has a way out. So I just want to encourage you tonight, as well as encourage those of us that are not impacted by the government shutdown, to just check on your strong friends. Check on those that, sometimes it's hard to ask for help. And, just maybe check on them to see, is everything okay? Offer a helping hand, a listening ear, whatever it is, check on those around you that have been impacted by the government shutdown. And again, show some grace because we are all stressed out. We are all in a place of uncertainty. Pressure is high, angry is high, lies are flying, truth is tucked away in the corner. But I just want to encourage you tonight that you show each other some grace, that we put ourselves in a place of empathy, ourselves in a place where we consider others in this season, and not be so quick to fly off the handle or be so dismissive when somebody may be dealing with some things that you just might have a word of encouragement or some financial assistance that you can share with someone, as we know that these are some tough times that we are living in. So just that, remember that as we go into tonight's show. I want to talk with you. Last week, I talked about when Pharaoh told the overseers to make the Israelites make bricks with no straw. And that particular passage of scripture, it's relative to today, where people are having to go to work to still labor and not get paid. And it's very relevant in the times that we are living in now. But tonight, I want to talk about, again, the impact of the government shutdown. And I truly believe that it is important that we stay on topic and that we stay relevant with current events and things that are going on, because we don't know how impactful a word of encouragement might be to somebody in this season. And I want to talk to you tonight about what's sticking out in the news is this ballroom that's being built while the people are in a burden. And the topic of tonight's show, if you hold on, let me click it in for you guys. Ballrooms for the few and burdens for the many. That's tonight's topic. As I said, I like to deal with current events because real life situations, sometimes you got to have some real on time solutions, or just an on time listening ear, and not just pushing something to the side or pushing a situation to the side or burying our heads in the sand as though the things that we're seeing are not going on. It's important that we give voice for the voiceless, that we give a place where the cries of the people are heard in other arenas, where the shutdown is shutting down the voices of those that are unable to speak. And so this platform for me, I say take up space. Whatever space that God has given you, we have to fully occupy that space. And this space was given me as an assignment to encourage, inspire, to help people to get unstuck. So whatever way that God puts it on my heart is the direction that I'm going. And I don't know about you, but I truly am hurt for the people of this nation, and hurt, as an American citizen, it hurts to see what our country is going through. And so, no, I'm not going to stop talking about it. No, I am not going to be silent, and I'm not going to not raise my voice for those that don't have a space to say how they feel. But I'm going to raise mine because I'm empathetic and I understand. A lot of us are just that one paycheck away from, some type of issue. I don't care what it is. If you know that missing one paycheck can send us into a place where we know the bills are going to keep on coming, but there is no money. So tonight I want to talk to you about, the topic is ballrooms for the few and burdens for the many. And what I want to touch on tonight is the fact that we know that they're saying that the SNAP benefits and food stamps after November the 1st, or come November the 1st, are not going to be available. And a world where billions are spent on ballrooms for the privileged few, while everyday people are struggling and just to put food on the table. What does this say about us? What does this say about us as a nation? And this is why I refuse to be quiet, because, you know, there before the grace of God go I. It could have been me alone with no food, no home. It could have been me. There before the grace of God go I. And so I want to call attention to it in whatever way that I can, because we don't know, again, who is listening, who's impacted by the government shutdown. If a person around you, you know, they were working for the government, are still working, having to go to work and don't have pay. The first of the year, there were people that immediately lost their positions and have had to shift. And I can only imagine, and I am very empathetic to, the perils of this nation, because it is touching each of us in some way, but there are those that is touching in many ways. And to think about the values of this nation, when shining chandeliers matter more than feeding hungry children. This isn't just about politics or headlines. It's about the heart of our community and the faith that calls for us to do better. It calls for us to be better, to do better. So tonight, I want to dig in and challenge what's normal and start rewriting the story of togetherness, because we have seen so much division in this nation caused by rhetoric and lies. But the face of poverty and the face of hunger has no color. It has no face as far as I'm concerned, because poverty and struggle, children and hunger, it can hit any race, any color. It does not matter. Poverty does not discriminate. And so tonight, I just want to, talk about that and how important it is that we make important helping others in this season. Sometimes the headlines that we're reading today almost seem like satire, that you're seeing a president tear down the White House, not all the way down, but a wing of the White House. And the value of that total project is $350 billion versus $9 billion that it would take to feed the families that are on the SNAP program. And so that money has been set aside, but they're going to not apply those funds. And they're saying that that money will run out. It's not going to be available. But you have the audacity to want to raise $350 billion to build a ballroom while children are going to go hungry. And I have a problem with that. It really does bother me. And so yes, I'm going to talk about it. If this is not your subject tonight, click off. If you know somebody that is going through this, It's not just a rant, but it is a place of encouragement. And I want to challenge the Remove Logic community. Those of you that are connected to this platform in any way, that if you know organizations that are helping, if you know places where people can get food, put it on my Remove Logic page on Facebook. Tag me. And if you don't want to share it, but I will put it out there. But I want to challenge you, while this shutdown is going on, because there are people that have probably missed 2 paychecks by now. And so one, yes, is impactful, but to go into a new month with no money, yes, we know that it's just about devastating to a household, especially if it's a single parent household, or if both of those individuals, the parents, work for the government. So this can be very devastating to people. And going into the holiday season, you're going to start having to deal with mental health issues, wellness issues, all of the things that this government shutdown is wrapped around. We are now seeing the effects of it, where you can again, $9 billion set aside to help families put food on the table, and now that money is gone. It's not going to be accessible to those that need the help for food stamps. What does it say about our value, priority? The way we show up for each other is definitely being challenged in this season. How is it that Donald Trump's $350 billion ballroom versus food stamps takes priority? And right now, they're saying more than 41 million Americans rely on SNAP. 41 million Americans rely on SNAP, what many call food stamps, to help feed their families every month. And so you look at that as the number of people. Even the march a few weeks ago, No Kings, that was 7 million people that came out in protest against Donald Trump, the No Kings Day protests. And now you're saying that 41 million Americans are going to be impacted, possibly by the fact that the SNAP benefits are not going to be available. And again, poverty has no face. And I know that it's like to say that the majority of people on food stamps are Black and brown. But when I was looking at the stats and the breakdown for race and ethnicity for 2024, the percentages for white is 36, Black is 26%, Hispanic 28%, and Asian 4%, other 6%. Again, poverty and struggle has no face. And so when you look at the fact that what's being pushed, the programs that they think are going to hurt just one marginalized group of people, I want to say to you today, look again, because the numbers say something totally different. These are the numbers for 2024, that the percent of people, white people, on food stamps is 36% out of that 41 million. And then 26% are Black people, Hispanic 28%, Asian 4%, and other is 6%. That means that SNAP is a lifeline for families of every background, but especially for communities facing historic inequities. I need to say that again. This means that families of every background, this is going to impact families of every background. especially in communities of those facing historic inequity. When we see billions raised for a luxury room, while millions of families struggle just to eat, uh, it's a clear sign that our society, our priorities are all out of balance, shifted, totally shifted. It's not, again, just about the headline. It is about value. It is about honoring. It is about togetherness. It is about humanity. Are we building monuments for a select group of few of people and then are building bridges for those who need? We've got to come into some type of place where there is a balance in this nation. We are totally out of balance now. And our faith calls on us to see and to serve. We need to look and see the people behind these statistics that I just gave you. Every dollar spent on excess could be a lifeline for someone facing hunger, homelessness, hardship, are just a minimal, a month's worth of struggle, okay, where the mortgage was not paid, the car payment is not paid, the rent is not paid, the electricity is not paid. But then when you extend this in the possibility of uncertainty where it could go to a place of homelessness for greater hardship than we realize. So I want to challenge the topic tonight of where logic says that extravagance is progress. When we are looking and we're seeing progress being rolled back, and instead of investing in compassion and dignity and in a real community, we are seeing the leaders of this nation invest in things that the people are being hurt and forgotten about. And so together we can choose to prioritize people over prestige. And we can also give hope over the headlines that we are reading and seeing today. Again, the headlines seem like satire when it's like, are you kidding me? Is this real? Is this really happening? How many times a day do you say that? Is this really happening? Is this really America? So I want to challenge you to move beyond the headlines, that we begin to see unity and togetherness, because again, this is impacting all backgrounds of people. It is not isolated as they would have you to believe, that it is marginalized to the Black and the brown communities. That is not so. Dive into this from the remove logic angle. Sometimes what's logical in the world, spending, look, on lavish things, status, and headlines, does not align with what is right or faithful. Again, the remove logic angle is God is not bound logic or logistics. And so sometimes the things that we see in the logic of this world does not align with what is right or what is faithful. In Matthew 25 and 40, the word says, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Whatever you did for the least of them, you did also for me. So when you start to look at the least of those among us, the vulnerable among us, the elders among us, where the challenge with this shutdown is to fight that people's health benefits don't skyrocket, prescription drugs don't skyrocket, and now you're looking at SNAP programs being taken away. And I think I saw this week that Social Security is in jeopardy. I am not even retirement age yet, but I have worked long enough to have an expectation that I am going to be able to draw Social Security. So while we are looking at this current situation that we find our nation in, yes, it's a government shutdown, but it's the overall administration that we need to stand up against, take a look at, and make decisions that look, this is unacceptable. And use your voice, use your resources to aid, to assist, and to help others. The world's logic says go big, make headlines, and choose status. That's all well and good. But if you're choosing status and stepping on someone on your way to status, then that's a real problem. And when I look and see again, ballrooms for the few and burdens for the many, where you are just like Pharaoh, you are saying to the overseers, you are saying to Congress that you are going to take away what the people are entitled to and make their lives harder. The same way that Pharaoh said, take the straw from the brick, and you still expect the people to produce with the same amount of work with no pay. It's something wrong with that. Now, we know the end of the story with Pharaoh. We know that even before he said told Moses, tell Pharaoh to let my people go, he also told the people to prepare for where they were going, to prepare to leave. But when they left wealthy. They left better. And so I want to encourage you that God knew about the shutdown before we knew about the shutdown. And I truly believe that God has a plan. I always say there's more out than it is in. God will make a way out of no way. He will create a new way. So I know while we're seeing all of this go on, it's very important that we maintain, again, hope and faith. It's very important that we check on those around us. It's very important that we extend grace, that we extend empathy, that those among us who are not impacted, check on someone, share your resources with someone. I put out this week on the Remove Logic page, findhelp.org. And again, this week, I want to challenge you. If you know of resources, if you know of places where people can access help for paying rent, help to get food, help to pay bills, any type of relief that you know about, share it on my page, tag me, and I will make sure to get it out there. Yes, this is I'm out of Texas, and this is where this is streaming from. But please know that this platform goes further than where I sit. So if you are struggling and you know someone wherever it may be in the nation, tag me and I will send the information out there. God's ways often flip logic upside down. He just has a way to do it where we won't even see it's coming. Just like you didn't see the shutdown coming, or we didn't see this current administration coming, where it's every day we are being inundated with this and inundated with that. But I want to say to you, God has a way where he can take logic and turn it over on its head. Where logic says, look out for yourself, faith says, look out for your neighbor. Where logic says invest in what is flashy, faith calls us to invest in people, in kindness, and in hope. At Remove Logic, we believe in real progress. And it isn't measured by what is built for show. It is how we build each other up. And I think we've long seen the place where buildings are built and then the people come. But now we've seen buildings are empty since the pandemic and the people are not coming. Why? Because I truly believe that God is saying it's time to build the people. Stop building the buildings and start to build the people. And it is truly evident of what we're seeing at the head of this nation. One of the things that I say, so is the head, so is the house. If the head of anything is corrupt, the house is probably corrupt too. If the head of anything is confused, then the house is probably confused too. If the head of anything is depressed, dark, or weary, the house is going to exhibit those same character traits. So when we look at the top of this nation and all the corruption and everything that we're seeing, so is the head, so is the house. But we know that God is bigger, he's greater, he's faster, and he's stronger than any of our situations. So it's not just about coming on here and being bleak. I want to present situations as they truly are, because facts are so distorted in this nation. And it is so important that we speak what is true, what is going on, not sugarcoated, not receive the lies that are being told as truth, standing up and speaking truth to power. It's very important that we speak the truth and expose the lies that are going on in this nation. As I said, God can turn logic upside down. And I want to challenge you that you will leave people better and not broken. We are seeing some broken people in this nation. And again, don't believe the lie that it is marginalized to one select group of people. Either way, when I think about equality, I was looking at that earlier this week, a couple of things. And equality, let's see. Yes, equality. Equality assumes that everyone starts from the same place with the same barriers and require the same help or support. Now, we know that is not the truth. That is not how things are handled. And then equity, when you talk about social equity and health care equity, any type of equity where people are, the disparities are there, and you want to see equity. Equity is not dividing resources, is resources fairly and equally, but also factoring in differences among people. It's not just dividing the resources fairly and equally, but also factoring in the differences among people. Differences such as race, economic status, that would require a different type of support to ensure the same opportunity of success. And then justice. And we're talking about long-term justice. And I had said, on this platform a few weeks ago, how this president has impacted every pillar of society and tearing down norms and tearing down things that gave equality, such as DEI. Now it's the Voting Rights Act. And those things that were set up to give equality in systems in this nation. But justice is long-term equity. It looks to create equity in systems as well as individuals. Justice can take equity one step further by fixing systems in a way that leads to long-term, sustainable, equitable access for generations to come. And we are seeing where generations that fought for justice and fought for equity, now those things are being rolled back, and you're seeing where the things that were equitable, that we thought were long term, now those things are being rolled back by this administration. So when I began to look at tonight, the fact that 41 million people are going to lose SNAP benefits, And then to look at the numbers and the fact that we know that those numbers represent, yes, 41 million people, but it does not represent 41 million Black people, 41 million brown people. The numbers are the numbers. 36% of that 41 million are white. 26% are Black, and 28% are Hispanic. So when you look at those numbers of 41 million people impacted by the loss of SNAP benefits, that is saying to this administration that it is all backgrounds that you are affecting. And so I want to again encourage unity, not disunity, but also reality. And we've got to look at things straight down the line for where it is and what it is. We are not sugarcoating. We are looking at real facts and real numbers and expecting real solutions. How do we live in a world where billions can be raised for luxury, but so many families struggle to afford groceries? How do we live, or how do you expect us to live in a world where billions can be raised for luxury, but so many families struggle to afford groceries? What does it say about our values when helping the hungry gets less attention than building ballrooms? When did building monuments to ego become more urgent than building up our communities? You are stopping monies from Democratic states because you don't like what they're saying. You're saying to people, go to work and don't expect pay. You are saying, just like Pharaoh and to his overseers, let them make bricks with no straw. You are putting a burden on so many while you are building a ballroom and benefiting from broken people. It's not just about one person or one party. It's about a system that rewards flash over faith and spectacle over substance. It's about a system that rewards flash over faith and spectacle over substance. Meanwhile, the economy feels heavier for so many. Rising costs, shrinking paychecks, or just in this case, or some cases, no paychecks. The economy feels heavier for so many. Rising costs, shrinking paychecks, and families forced to make impossible choices. I was watching the news today, and there was a woman that said, I will go without eating so that my children can eat if there are no food stamps. And that woman was a white woman. And I'm saying to you that poverty and struggle has no barriers, none. And again, the ballroom for the few and the burden for many, for the many. What kind of solutions are we being offered? What kind of solutions are they offering us? None. You are being offered to make bricks with no straw, that your labor is being increased and harder without pay. I know that we're saying not looking to them. And that's the one thing that I truly believe that God is saying, look to me and not to man. And faith and solutions, we know that that is geared towards prayer and seeking God and asking for those divine strategies and ways out. And even again on this platform, if you know of a resource of any kind, tag me. I will share it. Share it on my page. I'll put it on this episode of Remove Logic in the comments. But here's what I know. God's math isn't man's math. No matter what, 350 billion versus 9 billion. God's math isn't man's math. And where the world sees scarcity, faith sees possibility. We can't wait for leaders to save us. I need to say that again. We cannot wait for leaders to save us. We have to show up for each other. That means supporting local businesses, volunteering at food banks, advocating for policies that put people first and not the privileged, and being the neighbor someone else is praying for. We've got to reach out and touch, as they say, somebody's hand to make this world better if we can. That's what we've got to do. So the call to action for you, Remove Logic community, this week, let's focus on what we can build. We need to look to build hope, build communities, and look to be a real solution for someone. We are going now, the season has changed. It's cooler here in Texas. In some areas, it's cold already. So we're going into winter months with people that are not being paid. And we've got to consider others in this nation. So this week, let's focus on what we can do to build help and hope in communities and be a real solution for someone. I'm challenging you, yes, again, that if you know of some resource, a link, a website, an organization, a church that is willing to help. I think I saw there was a church in Atlanta that they are asking people to bring food to service on Sunday. If there are things that are going on in your community that you know, let me know, and I will be glad to share it on my page. I'm not asking this for likes. I am not asking this to drive up any in my followers. I'm saying this because it is necessary. And so I want to challenge you again this week. Focus on what we can build. Build hope. Look for what you can do in your community. If you are a part of an organization and you know that you want to get the word out, let me know. I will pop on. We can do a live on Remove Logic. I'm open for it. Drop a comment on how you are helping someone or share a resource for families in need. Again, we are going into the winter months. Electric bills are going to be higher. And so we want to be able to help in any way that we can. Together, we can remove logic. The logic that says nothing will change. Yes, it can, and yes, it will. And it starts with us creating the change that we need. We are not relying on the leaders of this nation. We have got to save ourselves. And as we wrap up, again, my challenge to the Remove Logic community, I want to challenge you against extravagance. That does not mean you do it. That does not mean that I am downplaying any type of achievements or success that anybody has. But what I am saying that the progress that we need now is togetherness, is where we choose to invest in people. We choose to invest in compassion and hope for others. I thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will be back here again next Thursday night at 7 p.m. And I want to say to you, do not forget to tag someone about this episode. I'm going to be sharing this week on my page any type of resources that I find that someone sends to me. tag me and I will share it out on my page. If you are doing things to support in your community, please let me know. We can get the word out here on Remove Logic Radio Show. Again, I thank you so much. Remember that you can be somebody else's hope, somebody else's strategy, somebody else's help. If you put yourself out there, and I am making myself available. If you're already serving others, let me know, and I will put a spotlight on what you're doing. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Keep each other in prayer and extend a whole lot of grace. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next week on Remove Logic Radio Show. Thank you.